Husband posted on Facebook. Moving to Thailand with my new girl, starting fresh. He thought I was clueless, but I replied, okay, and stayed quiet until he discovered I had locked him out of everything. I just need you to transfer my share of our retirement accounts and investment portfolio. My lawyer will be sending over the paperwork. I nodded, taking a sip of my coffee. Of course, I'll have my lawyer review everything when it arrives. The flash of uncertainty in his eyes was brief but satisfying. He clearly hadn't expected me to have already retained legal counsel. Your lawyer? He scoffed, trying to regain his footing. Come on, Elena, don't make this difficult. We both know you're not cut out for a legal battle. He reached for his phone, probably to check his accounts, and I watched as his face shifted from confidence to confusion. That's strange, he muttered, tapping frantically at his screen. The banking app isn't working. He tried another app, then another. The crease between his eyebrows deepened. What's going on with my phone? I set down my coffee cup. Maybe you should check your email, the one you use for all our financial accounts. I watched as he pulled up his email on his phone, his face growing paler by the second. Oh wait, you can't. I changed all the passwords last night. Two-factor authentication is a wonderful thing, isn't it? You can't do this, he sputtered, his arrogance finally cracking. That's my money too. Actually, I replied, sliding a folder across the counter. I can. You'll find copies of all the documentation in here. Your unauthorized withdrawals from our joint accounts, the money transfers to Jessica's account in Singapore, the empty investment account you created in your name. My lawyer has the originals. Derek's face went from pale to red. You've been spying on me? No, Derek. I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. I stood up, gathering my things. By the way, Thailand has an extradition treaty with the US. Just something to consider before you try accessing any of our accounts from there. Derek spent the next few hours frantically calling his lawyer while I packed my overnight bag. I had already arranged to stay with Kate until things settled down. As I folded my clothes, I could hear him in his home office, his voice getting increasingly agitated. What do you mean she has documentation? Those transfers were private. He paused, listening. No, you don't understand. She's just a programmer. She couldn't have... What do you mean, forensic accounting? I allowed myself a small smile as I zipped up my suitcase. Diana had warned me that men like Derek always underestimate their wives. The smart ones, she'd said during our first meeting, are the ones who use that underestimation to their advantage. When Derek finally emerged from his office, his face was ashen. The lawyer says you filed for divorce citing financial abuse and adultery. His voice was quieter now, the smugness replaced by something closer to fear. He says you have proof of everything. That's right, I replied, checking my phone as another email notification came in. Oh, and it looks like your company's HR department just received an anonymous tip about certain irregularities in your project expenses. Specifically, all those romantic dinners with Jessica that you charged to the Singapore development account. You wouldn't, he whispered. But we both knew I already had. I also took the liberty of forwarding those questionable expense reports to the board of directors, I continued. They seemed particularly interested in the weekend trips to Miami that you logged as client meetings. Funny. I don't remember Miami having anything to do with the Singapore project. Derek sank into the couch, his face in his hands. Elena, please. We can talk about this. I made a mistake. I see that now. A mistake? I felt 23 years of suppressed anger rising in my throat. A mistake is forgetting our anniversary. A mistake is buying the wrong brand of coffee, broadcasting your affair on Facebook, and trying to steal our retirement savings. That's not a mistake, Derek. That's a choice. My phone buzzed again. Another email from Diana. Well, would you look at that? I said, scanning the message. The judge has granted an emergency injunction freezing all our joint assets pending the divorce proceedings. I guess those records of your transfers to Jessica's account came in handy after all. What am I supposed to do? Derek asked, his voice small. All my credit cards are linked to our joint accounts. I shouldered my bag and headed for the door. You know, there's a certain irony here. You always said I spent too much time playing with computers, but it turns out all that playing taught me exactly how to track digital paper trails. Every login, every transfer, every deleted email, they all leave traces if you know where to look. Over the next few days, Derek's perfectly planned escape to Thailand crumbled piece by piece. His company placed him on administrative leave, pending an investigation into his expense reports. Jessica, it turned out, had her own secrets. She was already married to someone else in Singapore. When the company's investigation brought that to light, she quickly disappeared from Derek's life, blocking him on every platform. I watched it all unfold from the safety of Kate's guest room, where I spent my evenings updating Diana on Derek's increasingly desperate attempts to access our accounts. He tried calling our bank, but without the two-factor authentication codes now tied to my phone, he couldn't verify his identity. He tried sweet-talking our financial advisor, only to discover I'd already informed him of the situation, and provided copies of the court order. You've got him cornered, Kate said one evening as we shared a bottle of wine. But aren't you worried he might try something drastic? I shook my head. That's why I made sure to save his Facebook post and all the responses. If he tries anything, it'll only prove my case about his character to the judge. The breaking point came when Derek's lawyer withdrew from the case. I later learned that Diana had sent him the complete file of evidence I'd gathered. Every suspicious transaction, every inappropriate expense report, every message between Derek and Jessica that I'd managed to recover from our shared cloud storage. Derek started calling me constantly, switching between threats and pleas. "You've ruined my life," he shouted in one voicemail. "I'll make you regret this. In the next, baby, please. I made a terrible mistake. We can work this out." I didn't respond to any of his messages. Instead, I forwarded each threatening voicemail to Diana, who added them to our growing file of evidence. Every threat he made only strengthened my position. The final blow came when his company concluded their investigation. Not only had Derek been misusing company funds to finance his affair with Jessica,